Around here, there's a bunch of crooks around here. You ain't supposed to be in that jail, boy. Get out of there, man. No, that's a total no, man. Vodka, man.
Is my salary going up?
The Bahamian people gotta wake up.
This is my 5 cents and I approve this message.
Good evening, Bahamas. You're tuned into NB12 Weekend, broadcasting from Cable 12 Studios on Robinson Road. Coming up tonight in news, hundreds to be employed as government repairs schools. More social and civic leaders speaking out on the timing of value-added tax. How a waste-to-energy plant intends to cut BEC's demand by 30%. The U.S. says it still considers its relationship with the Bahamas to be strong, and the Junkanoo beats out all the other Caribbean festivals. I'm Paige McCartney, and we've got those stories and more straight ahead on NB12 Weekend. Welcome once again to NB12. The Ministry of Education's multi-million-dollar school repair program will employ up to 1,100 people this summer. Minister of Education, Science and Technology Jerome Fitzgerald says officials have put in place new procedures this year to hold contractors accountable and ensure government receives value for money. Bonnie Toot reports.
The Ministry of Education will spend $7 million this summer to repair public schools across the country. Minister of Education Jerome Fitzgerald says government hired 180 contractors in New Providence alone, employing 600 to 700 people on this island. Meantime, 400 jobs will go to residents of Grand Bahama.
We will probably spend in the region of just under $7 million during the summer. More than half of the contractors have already been mobilized prior to the end of the budget for June 30th. We're in the process now of mobilizing the remainder of them. We were always budgeted around about $4.5 million, but when we look at what we actually expended, it was always around $6 million. And so for the last 2 years, we've spent around $6 million in total every year.
Fitzgerald says this will be the first year that the Ministry of Education is able to complete the full scope of works required at public schools, noting that in the past, some schools were in such dire need of repair, the work could not be completed in 1 year. He says officials allocated more money for school repairs on New Providence and the Family Islands, while Grand Bahama schools received less money than in previous years.
Grand Bahama will probably get about $500,000 or so this year, which is going to be a major reduction. For the last 2 years, we've spent about $1 million in Grand Bahama. The Family Islands, we're increasing the amount this year to all of the Family Islands because the Family Islands we found were, they were in need for a lot of money. So we're probably doubling the amount we spent on the Family Islands here. So we probably spent up to about $1 million on the Family Islands. And then you'll be looking at probably about $5+ million in New Providence.
Of that $5 million, the education minister says $100,000 has been set aside to replace air conditioning units at Uriah McPhee and Stephen Dillett primary schools. Last year, teachers staged sit-ins due to mold and rodent infestation, forcing frustrated parents to pull their children out of school. Says he's confident they won't encounter those issues this year.
During the period when they were closed down, we spent a significant amount of money between the two of them. Is up to almost $400,000 we spent on those. A lot of it was redoing the ductwork. We still have some ductwork to do. We had to, of course, sanitize all of the vents, which was done, clean out all the vents and so forth.
After dishing out millions on school repairs, Fitzgerald says a key priority this year is ensuring that the government gets value for money. As a result, he says new procedures have been put in place to hold contractors accountable.
The principals actually had no idea what the scope of work that was actually contracted to be done at their schools, and so they didn't know whether or not the contractor had completed the amount of works that the government was paying for, or the ministry was paying for, or not. And so we have included them in the process so that there's greater accountability and to ensure that they are satisfied with the level of work that's done, and in fact that the contractors complete the work that we're paying for. And so
The education minister says he expects repairs to be complete well before schools reopen in September. Reporting for NB12, I'm Vonnie Tu.
Well, with less than 6 months before the implementation of value-added tax, Bahamas Christian Council President Reverend Ranford Patterson warned that the tax could spawn more social ills if the economy doesn't improve before then. Patterson said while the Christian Council generally supports the government's efforts toward tax reform, the timing of its introduction could cause more problems. Patterson said he has some reservations about the rate of implementation.
I believe this is the worst time to impose any new tax on the Bahamian people. But we understand that there's a need for tax reform. I believe that the Bahamian people, the lower income people of our country, are going to suffer even more as a result of the implementation of the value-added tax. And so I think there needs to be a balance with the timing, the rate, and everything needs to be, I guess, at the right time. And I don't think we are at the right time at this present time to do that. There are too many people out of job. There are too many people who don't have the basic necessities.
We asked if he believes that January would be better.
If the economy remains the way it is, then the answer is no.
You really think the economy is going to improve drastically?
I hope so. The economy needs to improve, or I think we'll see more social ills. Things will get much worse if the economy doesn't change soon.
Minister of State for Finance Michael Halkitis confirmed earlier this week that government intends to bring value-added tax legislation to the House of Assembly before the end of this month. He said the education campaign will pick up in earnest following the tabling of that bill. He suggested that the education process will help ease some of the fare that the new tax has caused. However, Patterson said he isn't convinced.
Everybody's wary of it, Everybody's afraid of the fact that what I can buy for $1 today would not be valued $1 tomorrow. That's a challenge.
And Prime Minister Perry Christie recently expressed confidence that the economy would improve over the next 6 months. He told reporters earlier this month that he's excited about the country's future prospects. And leaders of the Bahamas Hotel Catering and Allied Workers Union say they too have their doubts about that, despite government's decision to postpone implementation and cut the taxation rate to 7.5%. Hotel Union President Nicole Martin says her members are already struggling to get by, and she's not convinced that is something Bahamians can afford at this time.
We always look at their ability to meet just their regular obligations, and a lot of our people are falling behind on the regular things, the necessities of life. So at 7.5%, we're still concerned that it is still not something that our sector could afford to have implemented.
Martin says she reached out to officials in the Ministry of Finance to arrange a meeting with her members. However, she says so far they've received no response.
We've not had any specific talks, and I think it's very important because so much is happening. There's a lot of uncertainty in the workplace, and my sector fluctuates. There's a high point, and then there's a very, very low point, and so if we could understand what is going to happen across the board to our sector, then maybe we might be comfortable with even considering it to be a good thing. But
and in other news, as the Water and Sewage Corporation forges ahead with $81 million in improvements to the country's water supply infrastructure, former Minister of State for the Environment with responsibility for utilities, Fenton Nemore, says it's a shame that the corporation has been without a chairman for 6 months now. He said the corporation is in a critical state and requires leadership to ensure the interests of Bahamian consumers are protected.
This project is a major project that we had put together under our administration. We recognized that we had to reduce the unaccounted for water, and we had to do it aggressively. And it required considerable effort on behalf of the Water and Sewage Corporation and the government to provide all the resources necessary. And at this particular time, the Water and Sewage Corporation has been without a chairman for more than 6 months. Why is that so? They've been without that leadership. The government, again, is slacking off and not doing their job. And they need to assist the Water and Sewage Corporation with this program.
The general manager of the corporation recently admitted that Water and Sewage cannot afford to maintain its sewer system or fund the cost of a more than $400 million upgrade. Nemor said with these challenges, the government should focus more of its attention on ensuring the essential utility service doesn't suffer the same fate BEC did recently.
Well, I feel that we have the technical expertise available to us through MIA and through the Water and Sewage Corporation to properly execute this program. However, it is whether the government provides the resources and the assistance and leadership required to execute it. I do not believe that the government is putting this program at the lead. It's an $83 million project, and the government should pay more attention to it.
The Water and Sewage Corporation intends to wean itself off of a $30 million government subsidy within the next 3 to 5 years, according to management, based on improvements to the water system and major reduction in non-revenue water. The IDB-funded $81 million project is expected to pay for itself in 10 years. Well, there may still be uncertainty over a letter of intent signed between government and Stellar Waste to Energy Bahamas Limited. However, a major part of the company's plan is for the power created by the plant to be sold to the Bahamas Electricity Corporation for distribution via its grid. Company principal Fabrizio Zanaboni said the cost will be around 20 cents per kilowatt hour. That's less than half of the current cost to consumers of power sold by BEC. The 70 to 80 megawatts of power it will produce represents around 29 to 33% of the roughly 240 megawatt power demand of the New Providence Daily, according to Zanaboni.
Purchase power agreement for 25 years where we expect to sell the electricity at quite a low price in a region of 20 cents per kilowatt. Considering that 74 megawatt is about a quarter of the installed capacity and the demand of the New Providence Island.
He says the plant would utilize plasma gasification technology.
This is the only side product that we produce. Everything else will be then converted into a very clean gas, which will be converted into electricity via gas engines. And therefore the only byproducts, nothing back to the landfill, so totally clean.
He adds that in this process, waste will be burned at a heat as high as 9,000 degrees to produce energy, with plasma rock and water produced as a byproduct. When MB12 returned, the outgoing U.S. Chargé d'Affaires says despite recent developments, the Bahamas and the United States have a brotherly relationship. We'll tell you more about that and other stories when we come right back.